So why are you here is an important question that we can all ask in a way where we understand that we don't necessarily have to come up with an answer immediately. And at the same time, understand that perhaps we do see a greater story or plan unfolding for our life, this divine plan or this feeling of we have a vision for our life, that we have seen, heard, or felt the call of destiny in some way, that things have happened that we couldn't exactly explain. And these kinds of experiences are not necessarily had within normal structures of a school or a home or a church or any other organized or even socialized setting. These experiences can happen within an individual, perhaps in a dream or during a walk in the woods, or if meditation is a practice, then perhaps in those kinds of deeper spiritual states, just like the mystics or practitioners of these various mystical traditions for many, many years. So, in connecting deeper to our presence as an expression of the divine and allowing every moment to be a creative moment, an opportunity to be creative, to step outside of monotony, to step outside of normalcy, of the status quo, of your own habits and thinking patterns, and to recognize that you're in the present moment, and this is a space for creation, a space for something new. It's a space to let go of the repetitive things that have been holding you down and to release them. And this is a time to focus on the bigger, greater vision that you hold for your life, and also to listen intuitively to feel how to be not overly specific. If you have an overly specific vision, that's fine, but not to stress that as much as the feeling and the truth, so to speak, of your wish. So you can have a clear wish, but if it has to be a true wish and a clear wish, if that makes sense. So this is the part where we tune into our heart, where we ask ourselves, what is really the thing that I want to get up in the morning for? Why do I have any question about what I want to work towards? Perhaps if this is something that is a work-related thing, or if it's something that you feel is important about your health or your relationships or anything that you wish to change, that you have the capacity to change yourself or your relationship to these external situations, and tuning into the ability to make space for your own ability to feel, to let go, to let the nervous system return back to homeostasis, to allow the prefrontal cortex to come back online, to fully step into your power and presence in this way, to use your breath as a tool to bring that energy up into the brain, finding your head on your shoulders, knowing that you know what you need to do because you are connected to this deeper source of intuition, this space of interconnectedness, of knowingness, knowing beyond your own immediate experience, and trusting with that inner certainty, your ability to hold true to the guidance that you are receiving from within your own self. When we give other people guidance, we're often just reminding ourselves what we need to hear. The best guidance for many is simply just to follow their own advice. And this is a simple way to maintain integrity and to offer something valuable in the process. There was the little boy who went to Gandhi, and he really liked sugar, and he says, "Gandhi, I really like sugar. What do? I want to stop." And Gandhi says, "Come back in 2 weeks." So the little boy says, "Okay." So he comes back in 2 weeks, and he says, "Okay, well, what do?" Gandhi says, "I just stop eating sugar." And the little boy says, "Oh, okay." And of course, the little boy's mother was confused by this whole situation and how Gandhi was able to make this little boy stop eating sweets after 2 weeks and just told him to stop eating sweets. And so, of course, she asked him, and he said, "Well, I simply just hadn't gotten over my own desires for sweets, and I needed to work that out of myself before I could give him the proper counsel." And it's this kind of simple perspective on life and the world that is behind his rationale for the quote saying, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And in that context, in that light of someone like Gandhi who's living principles in a simple way that perhaps, again, go beyond the ordinary, just by helping a small child stop eating sweets immediately. It's a pretty simple thing, but it's also astounding. And just reflecting our inner spiritual progress, our psychological, emotional development, our ability to perceive and feel and experience the meaning behind things, and to learn and grow and fully step into our roles as creators, as little sparks of this infinite creation, and to just be present to that, to experience your dharma, your roles in the world, the things that light you up about life, the things that really make up the substance of life. That you are of course, aware and appreciative of the simple preciousness of life. And you also see how you can play a conscious role in making a positive impact in the world around you simply by changing your own energy. Not that it's a simple task. Changing our energy is like changing the way we feel, changing our thoughts, perhaps changing things about our life that we just know are important to change anyways, and putting our best foot forward in all of our interactions, being there for others, and just shining a light for the world to see and feel and be here to experience you in all of your you-ness. And so stepping out of this monotony, this sort of experience of life as somehow just about being numbers and cogs, and doing your best to feel in your own heart anything that is blocking your experience of feeling love, and letting go of it, feeling that it may take more than one try, but with enough feeling and in the right state, perhaps with enough determination, that letting go of something can be a eternal forgiveness and eternal release. And this is also coming with doing your best to take responsibility for your own self, and knowing that that is a marvelous way to be of service to the world. That you still can put on your own oxygen mask. At some point, some people in very exalted states deny themselves. But when the Buddha had his enlightenment experience and he stepped out from under the tree, the Bodhi tree, he was emaciated, he hadn't eaten, so he was really skinny. And he walked up onto a dirt road and fell over. And someone helped him up, a little group, some kids, perhaps some elders, fed him some milk and some rice and nourished him back to health. And they realized in this moment that this is an awakened being. This is the Buddha. And this is how the Buddha's story starts, as the Buddha. And in that moment, this is one of his first realizations, is that he plays games with the children, drinks the milk, and his followers, the people who were aware of him when he was sitting under the tree and before then, asked him, you're not practicing, you're fasting, why are you doing this, where you're having fun playing with the children and eating rice and drinking milk? I thought you were fasting, serious about this. And in the most loving state of being, the Buddha understood that there were many ways to reach enlightenment, that you do not have to sit under a Bodhi tree for 7 years fasting, that there are other ways for people who, whether you are, regardless of who you are, let's just put it that way, that you can become enlightened, or that you have the nature, the same nature that the Buddha had in him is the same nature that you have in you. So, being aware of our eternal nature is perhaps the distinct quality of many mystics and wise sages from the ages. And living as an example of that eternal presence is something that isn't necessarily the only purpose, because we still live in the world and we still have our roles in life. It's just understanding that there is a space for eternal presence in some ways, always. And that enlightenment is that letting go of all of the filters, all of the projections and ideas about the way the world is or has to be. Letting go of the way we think about how we think about others, or how others think about us, and how we feel about the way that others think about us, or how we feel about anything. Kind of getting past all of those layers can feel like this connection to the subconscious mind, the emotions, the physical body. And as we release from that space, the density of the connection to earth, we understand that this is now the place for eternal consciousness. This is the place for recognizing our connection to, yes, the present moment as a perfect representation of eternity. And so how do we experience the moment in that way where it is fulfilling and it is perfect and we are joyful and at peace, whole, connected? Being fully here for life,